as you probably know, some of our tax dollars to the government go to the National Science Foundation, a very small percentage actually, and they fund a variety of research programs through that, including 10 different physics frontier centers to push the frontier of knowledge in the area of physics. So JINA is one of those 10 centers, and because NSF is funded with federal money, every grant needs broader impacts, which could be to the scientific community, explaining the research to the public, or in a lot of cases, outreach to K-12 students and educators. And so that's my primary role. Growing up as a girl who was interested in science in the 90s, I didn't know that I wasn't supposed to be interested in science. From a cultural, societal perspective, looking back, I can see many times where I wanted to be chosen to be in the physics group or be chosen to be in the math group, and I was placed in biology or at once meteorology in a summer camp. And I didn't know that that was kind of pervasive in our culture at that time, that girls were pushed into certain areas and boys were pushed into certain areas. As an adult, I've seen that. It's less now, but kids don't have the same playing field when they're looking at different careers. And at first I thought, okay, it's just a little bit uneven here or there. But as I get to know more students and work with different populations, I see that some people start playing on a very well manicured field, and some people start with a pile of rocks that they have to clear away before they can even play. Sometimes we'll go into middle or high school classrooms and teach them about nuclear science using magnetic marbles. We use this to try to, teach the nuclear. If I take away neutrons or protons, what happens? We also work with teachers, training them how to use these in the classroom. So we have an entire set of lesson planning activities that teachers can use. Sometimes we'll build devices with teachers to also help them give them materials. So this is a little Geiger counter kit that you can solder together. So we build these with teachers so that they can bring them in and actually do experiments with students. Sometimes I just go to schools, libraries, parks, and do little art to science projects. I was building these with students one time, and I told the student that we were doing science, and he said, "That's not science." And to be fair, it's more like engineering. But when I asked him what science was, he said it was reading. And that made me really sad, because science is, yes, it involves reading, but it's quite different. A lot of people talk about diversity in STEM from different aspects, whether it's a diverse group will solve a problem better. That's one reason behind diversity. Another argument I've heard from philosophy is that if we truly want to be an objective science, we have to look at it from all different angles. And if you train people the same way and have the same people looking at the same problems, they're not even going to ask all the different questions. So to be objective, we've got to have different people asking all the questions. But for me, it's really about access and ensuring that every talented, interested kid has the exact same chance of becoming a scientist.